Hi everyone. Today let us see a new topic called master slave flip flop concept. This is the diagram of your JK flip flop. Now we all know that the specialty of JK flip flop is when you give J is equal to 1 and K is equal to 1, it will act as a toggle condition. This is your feature which overcomes your disadvantage in your SR flip flop. Now we'll see what is the problem we face when we give J is equal to 1 and K equal to 1 in a JK flip flop. Now assume that I am going to give J equal to 1 and K is equal to 1, and let me take the present state. Let me assume the present state to be 0. So Q bar will be equal to 1. So when I assume Q equal to 0, the 0 will come over here and this Q bar will be coming over this point, right? Now the simple operation is when I give J equal to 1 and K equal to 1, the present state will be complemented. That means 0 will be transferred to or complemented to 1, right? Now we will represent the same condition or the same feature using your waveform. Now here I'll draw your clock pulse first. The first diagram is your clock pulse. This is your clock pulse, and you know that we have already discussed the types of triggering. You can either go for level triggering and edge triggering. Now we'll first take level triggering as example and see what is the problem we face here. So here I am going to take positive level triggering clock pulse. I am going to use this triggering. That means the flip-flop will be activated during this period. So during this positive level, flip-flop will be in active state. Let me assume the width of this clock pulse as TP. So P stands for pulse. So this is nothing but time taken for your pulse. Since when you look at the clock pulse on a whole, this is your pulse, correct? This is in 0 state. So this will call it as a pulse. So this is the time taken for the pulse to exist. Clear? Now let me draw the inputs for J equal to 1 and K equal to 1 here. Here I am going to assume J. So J is initially at 0 state, and at this point it goes to 1 state. Similarly, since both our values are same, I am using the same color here. So here if you see, up to this point J equal to 0 and up to this point K equal to 0, and at this end both your J and K are equal to 1. Now since we are going for a positive level triggering, only during this period the flip-flop will be active, correct? So during this period the flip-flop will be continuously active. So we have to focus only this in. So I am going to focus this in. I am drawing that alone separately. We'll understand this concept first, and that will be your similar case for the other positive pulses. Now we have drawn your J input, K input as a waveform, and we have taken your clock pulse also here. Now we'll take your Q value and we'll see what happens here. Now initially, now please understand here, initially the Q was already in present state, so it will be in present state as such. Or up to this, there is no change because the clock pulse is not active. After this line, this pink color line, this flip-flop will be active over this pulse width, correct? So now here, up to this end, if you see, the J value is 0 and K value is 0, so there is no change in your present state. It will be as such. Now at this point, if you see, both J equal to 1 and K equal to 1. So when J equal to 1, K equal to 1, the output is toggle. Toggle means it has to complement the Q value. Here the Q is already 0. So when it toggles, it will change to 1. Clear? Now we'll take a hold here and we'll come to this discussion. Now we have found out that at this point, now Q has already changed to 1. That means here Q is changed to 1 and Q bar is changed to 0, correct? But the problem in your JK flip-flop is the outputs are connected to your inputs. That means whenever there is a change in output, that also affects your input conditions. Now take this case, initially the Q value was 0. So when you put J equal to 1 and K equal to 1, it happened to be a toggle condition. So 0 is complemented as 1. Now after some time what happens, this 1 automatically goes to this end, so this value becomes 1, and this 0 will be coming here, so this value becomes 0. Now again this flip-flop will be, is the flip-flop active? Yes, because up to this end the flip-flop will be still active. Since the flip-flop is still in active state, again it will work. That means again it will do the toggling condition. Now this 1 will be changing into 0, and this 0 will be changing it to 1. So after some time this automatically goes to, now the Q value is 0, so it automatically goes to 0, and it will be waiting in 0 state. Again, now it will be, whether we will be looking whether the flip-flop is in active state. I told you up to this pink line the flip-flop is still active. Now this 0 will be, this 0 will be going back to your input again, and this 1 will be going back to input. So now this 1 becomes 0, and this 0 becomes 1. Again the flip-flop is in active state, so now this 0 gets changed to 1, and this 1 gets changed to 0. Now when we sketch this, after some time this 0 goes back to 1. It will stay there for some time. Again the flip-flop is active, so again it will come to 0 state, and after some time it goes to on state. Again it will be going to 0 state. Correct? Now when you look at this, please understand why there is a change in the output continuously. Because here J and K are both 1. When J and K are 1, it will be a toggle condition. This flip-flop is continuously active throughout this period. Throughout this period, flip-flop will be active. Since we have fed the Q value back into your input condition, this toggling is happening continuously, and you can see that there is no certainty in the output. That means we cannot say whether the output is 0 or 1. It is toggling continuously. It is toggling between 0 and 1 continuously. This problem will be calling it as race around condition. That means it is racing around two values, so we'll call it as race around condition in this case. Now what is the problem of this? The uncertainty. We do not know what is the output value is. Now you might have a question, why it is taking some time? Why it can't be like this? Correct? Because instead of being like this, it is taking some time in your 1 value, again it is taking some time to 0 value. Correct? So what is the reason for this? That is nothing but, I have already taught you about this, called a propagation delay. We have already discussed in our class. Propagation delay means the time taken by the signal to travel through the gates to reach your outputs. So this 0, when it comes over here, it takes some time to travel to this condition. Correct? So the time taken for your input signal to travel throughout your gate circuit and reach the output is called as propagation delay, and this we'll call it as propagation delay. So this is due to your gate circuit, and this TP is nothing but your pulse width. Now what is the source of this problem? Now we'll make this discussion to a simplified one. The problem is when J equal to 1 and K equal to 1, the value is continuously changing between 0 and 1. Now what is the main problem for this? Because till this period the flip-flop is continuously active. So now how can you overcome it? There are two possibilities. Now we'll discuss two possibilities. There are two possibilities. First one is, either you can make TP, that means pulse width, to be less than, let me take this as propagation delay. I'll change it as PR. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to make this TP less than TPR. What is the use then? When I bring this TP less than this TPR, before it starts to change at the stage, the pulse width will be over, so we can avoid this condition. That means you can understand a different way. Here, if you want to make this to happen, you have to increase TPR. That means you have to increase the propagation delay. You have to artificially add some wiring circuits in your gate. That is not better advised one. So second thing is, instead of following your level triggering, we can go for edge triggering. Either you can trigger at the positive edge or you can trigger negative edge. compared to these two conditions, we have found out a more efficient way to solve this problem, and that is called as master slave flip-flop configurations. This one will be giving you more comparatively better results when compared with your these two methods. Now we'll see what is meant by master slave flip-flop. As you can clearly identify in the name itself that you require two different flip-flops. You require a master and you require a slave. That means you require two flip-flops. Now I am just drawing a logical diagram alone. So there are two flip-flops now. Let me take it as JK, Q bar, okay, and here it is again two flip-flops. Now I am granting this input directly Q to J and this Q bar to K. Okay, that means this output is fed as input to this circuit, and you will be having an input at this point. Here I will be connecting this output to this circuit. Here this is taken as input to be connected along with your K. Okay, now this is your J input, K input. Now you'll have two flip-flops. We'll call this as master flip-flop and we'll call this as slave flip-flop. And this is your Q, overall Q and overall Q bar, correct? Now what is missing here? We have to draw a clock pulse. Now just check how I'm going to apply the clock pulse. Here I'm going to apply clock pulse here, and then I'm going to have a NOT gate, and that output is given as input for this clock pulse. Now now let's see how this plays a very important role. Now suppose if this flip-flop becomes active at positive level, it will become active at negative level. If it is getting activated at positive edge, this will be getting activated at negative edge, correct? So that means this will work, this will work first, and this will be working after this finishes its work, correct? Now we'll see this with the help of a clock pulse. That means if I have a clock pulse like this, see, this is your clock pulse, okay. Now let us assume any one type of triggering. I am going to assume positive edge triggering. So that means this is positive edge triggering and this is negative edge triggering. This is positive edge and negative edge. Now at this positive edge triggering, at this end, your master flip-flop will be working. Your master flip-flop is active. That means this flip-flop will be active, this will be working, but this flip-flop will not be working. That means at this point master flip-flop will be active and slave flip-flop will be inactive, correct? Now after this pulse gets over, this because we have kind of the complemented pulse here, that means when this flip-flop becomes active at positive, this becomes active at negative. When this becomes active at negative, this becomes active at positive. Now we have assumed this is going to act at positive edge, so this will be active only at negative edge. That means at this end. So at negative edge flip-flop, at negative edge, your master flip-flop will be inactive. That means it won't be working, but your slave flip-flop will be active. Now just see how it is activated. So in the positive edge, first master flip-flop is activated, and negative edge, the slave flip-flop is activated. So the first flip-flop is activated first, and the second flip-flop is waiting for this flip-flop. That means the slave flip-flop is waiting for your master flip-flop. Clear? Now we'll see how this eradicates your race around condition. The main idea of using master slave flip-flop is to eradicate or minimize your race around condition. We'll see how it eradicates, not minimize it. It eradicates the race around condition. Now look at this waveform here. I have directly drawn the clock pulse waveform. This is your clock pulse waveform. This is a J input, this is a K input. As I already told you, I am going to assume a positive edge triggered. Now this is positive edge and this is your negative edge. Clear? Now at this positive edge, now at this point, which flip-flop will be active? Your master flip-flop will be active. And at your negative edge, your slave flip-flop will be active, correct? Now we'll see how it is. Now I am going to draw your master output as one waveform. that is master output. That means this point. This point. Next, I am going to draw your slave output as your next waveform Q, that is this point. Clear? Now we'll see what it is. Now assume that your master flip-flop is at initially 0 position. Similarly, your slave output is also initially at 0 position. Clear? Now we have followed edge triggering. At this end, this is positive edge triggering. At positive edge, this master flip-flop will be active. That means at this point, when j becomes 1 here, k becomes 1 here. When j and k are equal to 1, the output will be complemented. That means the output q, which is 0 now, will be changing it to 1. And it will be continued till this state up to what? Up to your next positive edge. That means up to this end, it will be remaining the same state because we are following edge triggered. This master flip flop will be active at this moment, and then it becomes again active at only at this moment. So up to that, it will be in on state. Correct? Now we'll see slave flip flop. Now when you take slave flip flop, at this end, this only master is activated. There is no operation for a slave, so there is nothing work done in your slave flip flop. It will be remaining as such. It is already in 0. It will be remaining as such. But at this end, if you see, your slave flip flop becomes active. That means it has to work now. Now how it will work? Now if you see, when you take master slave flip flop, now what is the input it will take? It will take the input of these two. Now in the first case, this q value becomes 1 and your q bar value becomes 0. That will be fed as input to these two. So at this end, the input for this flip flop is 1 and 0, which is nothing but set operation. Set operation means value should be equal to 1, correct? So now it will change to 1 value and it will remain as such till your next negative edge. Please take a look at this waveform. Now we'll compare these two waveforms. Now just compare these two waveforms. Now this is a waveform of your ordinary JK flip flop, and this is a waveform of your master slave JK flip flop. Now leave it all these the in between waveforms. Now we'll just look at your clock pulse. Look at this the one which I'm making a star here. Look at this waveform clock pulse and your main output. Similarly, look at this one and this one, because it is the overall output. Correct? Now here I have used a positive level triggering. Here I have used positive edge triggering. Here I have only one flip flop. I have two flip flops here. Here the one flip flop will be active continuously over the period TP. Here the first flip flop will be active at your positive edge, and the next flip flop will be active at your next negative edge. Clear? Now we'll compare the output alone. Take this output. You compare these two output. Clear? Now this Q value, if you see, during this value there is an uncertainty, that is the output is ambiguous, that is it is not clear. It is changing between 0 and 1 alternatively like this. So this is the problem called as race around condition we faced in a JK flip flop. Now in this master slave flip flop, you see, when I give j equal to 1 and k equal to 1, the output is getting complemented. Correct? Q was 0 now. Now at the end of this pulse, it is getting complemented. So this race around condition is completely eliminated in your master slave flip flop. Clear? This is the advantage of your master slave flip flop. In today's session, we have discussed about the topic called race around condition, and we also discussed what is master slave flip flop configuration. We have learned few new terminologies today like propagation delay, pulse width, race around condition, and also master slave flip flop configuration. Just have a look at it, all this waveform. These waveforms are very simple and easy to understand. Look at it, and if you have any doubts, please ask me. We'll discuss further. Thank you.